Finally, for the poetry readings, we have a couple of poems of Mom's read by Roger Davies, who is a past president of the New Hampshire Poetry Society and also a member of the Manchester chapter of Toastmasters International. Roger?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, what a group. Janice Seufert. I met Janice as a member of the Poetry Society of New Hampshire, and at the time the society held monthly meetings at a summer house on the grounds of the Oak Ridge condominium. And there we met and enjoyed presentations by outside of the society poets, encouragement towards the fuller understanding of the word poetry. As poets, we grew together, expanded our horizons, enjoyed our monthly meetings in private, comfortable surroundings. As time unfolded, Janice and I became members of the governing body, met an hour earlier each month, and grew to know each other more fully. The society presented radio interviews under the leadership of, who else? Janice Seufert, and of Casara. And through the belief that Janice supported children, we kicked around the idea in the Poetry Society of establishing a New Hampshire poetry contest for kids. And I mean kicked around, because some members were dead against the idea. And as president, I asked for a volunteer to chair the children's poetry contest, and of course you know who stood up, Janice Seufert. The rest is a rather beautiful history of some success-filled years, beginning with an address to the meeting in Concord of the New Hampshire Superintendents of Schools. Oh, now I didn't know if Janice could handle this, but 3 days after I accepted her volunteerism, I received this nice note on January 27th, 2000. It said, "Dear Roger, I'm not sure what this job as youth poetry leader will entail. I welcome any ideas. It's not something that can happen quickly. Have talked to Verna Cahill. I have to think. A committee will be an early step. I will also talk to Barb Simpson. I want to talk to a couple of teachers and that I know. Having a lot of statewide contests doesn't seem to be the way to go. Probably the first step will be finding out what is being taught to children about poetry in public schools. Teaching poetry is not easy. We must find out a lot before coming up with suggestions. Is poetry being taught to kids on a regular basis? Are teachers uneasy about teaching poetry? Sincerely, Janice." Wow, right then and there I knew we had the right person in the right slot for the right mission with the right ideas. Yes, sir, we really did. Now let's see, I have a couple of her poems here. The first one is The Calling. Is that right on the program?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord, I'm doing fine. The Calling. What will you do with this one promising morning? The swallows are back. Look, they play with a white feather. You pull the same red wagon full of bricks. Not too far from here, an eager grouse is drumming. The winter cave, this life, my tether. Come, the vagrant hawk is calling from the field. Yes, in her poetry, Janice had the nerve to challenge an awkward man with a squat figure, a short neck, a bald head, upturned nose, and rather big round eyes. One man who wore one garment all year long, a woolen garment, and he went barefoot continuously. A rather grotesque man, a man of moral truth. I know you've all heard of him. His name, Socrates. And an ounce of hemlock. You've heard of that as well. In her poem, she addresses Socrates and asks some questions about final vanity. Why did you do it, Socrates? Your reaching brain must have had many reasons, but what good did it do to die? You could have cheated death in many ways. It wasn't good enough to talk at length about wisdom and virtue. True value for a man must be to act as well as to speak. What better example than to stand for right and die with grace, a final lesson to your students. So, death might prove a point, but was that the only answer? Could it be that beset by enemies, money running out, health failing, that this was escape with panache? Did the man who hated vanity let himself die because of it? Thank you, Janice. Thank you for your spirit, your drive, your love of challenging successes. We all miss you very dearly. Craig?
Excellent.
Thanks, Roger. Supposedly, the New Hampshire Poetry Society wants to hold another memorial service for Mom in August down in the southern part of the state, Hampstead, I think they said.
Karen Gallipo.
Yeah, Karen Gallipo. And I don't know, and this hasn't been set up or anything yet, so I'll keep people posted as to the day and time and everything.